Welcome to our discussion on how Pattoo agents send data to the central Pattoo server. This is going to be an overview of the formatting of the JSON data. As a coder, you don't necessarily need to know this information, but it's good to understand how we, in our design, have tried to make the JSON data that is sent over the wire to be as compact as possible between the agents and the central API server. So as an overview of what Pattoo does is that Pattoo has data collection agents. They send data to a central Pattoo server, which through the use of an API, that API then stores the data in a database. Users at the far end can then view this information as web charts through a web application. Pattoo has multiple different parts. There are the Pattoo agents. You can write your own custom agents, which is covered in another video. And then the API stores the data, and then we have a standard web application as well. So there are 3 or 4 different parts. They all work in conjunction to one another. This documentation is very much available in the GitHub repository that we have, and there are many, many links to the documentation as to how to get things done. So let's continue and see what the JSON data looks like. Well, before we do that, let's talk about the purpose of the agents. The agents get the data, they send it to the central API server, and there are always different types of agents. There are agents that can do different types of things. Agents that could be doing things like collecting market data, they could be doing stock prices, they could be getting information from a central service such as your internal ERP systems with a company. They could be even getting information on air conditioning systems, power systems, networking gear, the servers in your IT environment, very many things. There are standardized agents that we've created that can do very basic functionality, and then there's documentation out there that shows you how to write your own. So let's take a look at the JSON and how it works. Now, this may look like a large amount of information to process, but we're going to go through it step by step so that you understand how this information is sent. So let's take a look at the very first section of the JSON. And this is the agent timestamp. When the agent actually sends the information to the central API server, it creates a timestamp and inserts that into the JSON data that is sent. Now you'll notice that the timestamp has a prefix on the name. It says Pattoo underscore. And there are a number of key value pairs in this JSON data that have a Pattoo underscore prefix. And these are all automatically inserted behind the scenes by the various Pattoo shared libraries that were discussed in previous videos, so that you as a coder don't have to do it yourself. Now, let's continue and take a look at some of the other information that's there. The next piece of information is the Pattoo agent ID. This is a uniquely generated ID by the agent. The ID is stored by the agent in the local hard drive, and then from there it is then sent to the central API server. Now, the next thing that is also sent is the polling interval. And this polling interval is a value that's in milliseconds. In this particular case, you can see that the agent has been pulling data from its various targets and the data points every 20 seconds. And then after this, there's information that follows that is very specific to the various types of data points that have been collected. And so that has a Pattoo data points key. And then underneath this, there are 2 separate sections, a section of key value pairs and a section of pairs related to the data point. And we'll cover this a little later. So hold on a second and we will continue a little more. Each of the key value pairs, as you notice, will have a number. And here we have numbers from 0 through 14. And they are then used as references for the data point pairs values at the bottom. So let's take a look at the first two data points and two key value pairs and extract information out of that and see how that works. The very first one, the Pattoo key value pair number 0, has metadata. And you can tell that it's metadata because metadata in key value pairs do not start with the Pattoo underscore prefix. And so this information has been received somehow as metadata from a unit number 000. The key is unit and the value is 000. For the first item, well, in this particular case, the second item, because we're numbering from 0 to 1, so the first one is the 0th, the second one would be therefore be the first. The key is Pattoo agent underscore hostname, and that is the name of the host that was on which the agent itself is running. In this case, the name of the host is Palisados. And this continues all the way down the line. We have the various agent IDs and keys and values, etc. And they're all included in this list of key value pairs. So let's take a look at the data points. How many data points do we have? Actually, we have two. Even though we have all these key value pairs, we only have two data points. A data point, in essence, is a string of key value pairs or a collection of key value pairs. And so let's take a look at the very first data point, which is the very first row that we see here. And you can see that in both the first row and the second row, they both share the same initial set of key value pairs. They have the section or the set number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. And so you can see here that the host name is the same, the Pattoo agent ID is the same, the target that has been polled is the same. In this case, it's foo.example.org. The polling interval is the same. The program that was the name of the agent program that got this information is the same. And the type of data is the same. All of these 0 through 5 and number 7 are the same between the two sets of data points. But then after that, they diverge. The first data point set has these additional characteristics. And that is that they have a Pattoo key of agent modbus input register 3386, which is the key of the data that's being sent, the key, and then number 8 is the Pattoo value. So that's the key and the value of the data point, and all the other items are related metadata points. Um, some of them, like I'd mentioned before, do not have the Pattoo prefix, and then some of them are hidden and have the Pattoo prefix. But the essence of it is that the Pattoo key is the primary key value of the data point, and the Pattoo value is the value of the data point. Everything else is related metadata. Um, and so what we also have here is the timestamp. If you look at number 9, that is the time at which the data was received. And so when the agent sends this information, the Pattoo API extracts the key, it extracts the value, and then it also extracts that Pattoo timestamp and says this value was pulled at this particular timestamp value, and then that is what is used to get the y and x axes on the charts, and then the Pattoo key is what is then used as the labels for the charts. This could be different depending on the API usage that you write, but this is the way the Pattoo web front end interprets this data when it gets the information from the API from the web agent perspective. Now, let's take a look at the next set of data point pair values for the second data point. And then here you can see where it diverges. This one has 11, 12, 13, 14 that are different, and you can see that the key is different. The Pattoo key in this case is number 11, in which the key value ends in 388. In the previous one, it ended in 386. So you can see that there are two different key values. Well, the values of the keys are different. And then also the values of the values are different because in this case, the value is 727. In the previous case, the value was 732. And so we get all this information. If you also take a look at it, there's a checksum value, which helps with data integrity, helps to make sure that the data point has a unique ID separate from the unique ID of the agent itself, so that when the data is received by the Pattoo API, Pattoo understands that this information is globally unique when it takes the Pattoo agent ID that of the agent that sent the information plus the unique checksum ID of the data point itself. It takes those two together and says, oh, this is universally unique, and stores it separately in the database. So let's talk about some of the features of the agents. We've spoken about this in previous videos, but just as a summary, the agents automatically send the data to the Pattoo server as JSON, and there's automatic failure protections. One of them is that JSON is stored on disk if the Pattoo server is unavailable. The agents pull their information from the various targets. They try to send the data to the central API server. If that is unavailable, they have a failsafe which makes the data get stored on the local disk. The next time that this agent starts to get the data, it receives the data from the various agents, from the various targets, and then attempts to send it to the API one more time. If the API is available at that moment, the data that has most recently been pulled gets sent to the API, and then the agent checks to see on its disk whether there's additional information to be sent that has been cached as a backup when the API wasn't available, and sends it at that time. And so that's how the Pattoo agents work. You as the coder don't have to deal with all of this because the Pattoo agent classes and objects, they all handle this sort of information seamlessly. I hope this information has been valuable to you and that this provides you with additional information as to how the JSON data is sent. This is primarily for your general information. Please take a look at some of our other videos for other functionalities for the Pattoo project. Thank you.